This is the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. It is a multicam switcher. It has 4 multicams. You can cut a whole bunch of other settings. It's built by Blackmagic. If you use DaVinci Resolve, this is actually a pretty interesting device. We stopped using it. I purchased this initially for our main channel YouTube videos to be able to cut the A cam, B cam, you know, if you have a C and D cam, or like you're filming a podcast, this can be extremely valuable. It comes obviously with a DC power thing in there for different plugs as well. The only downside with this unit is that, yes, it's easy to switch, but it's only 1080p. So we're not able to get 4K footage out of the HDMI out. So the HDMI out only supports 1080p, but it'll take 4K footage in, but you can export a DaVinci Resolve timeline based on your cuts. So you could cut with this and then open it up in the timeline and then edit from there, which is also actually pretty valuable because then you can kind of slightly edit it as needed. And from there, you can export a 4K timeline, but you're not gonna be able to get like one raw video file that's 4K, that's pre-cut with this guy. So we had to buy the Blackmagic Hyperdeck and the Blackmagic SDI switcher, a 12G SDI, which allows up to 8K. And then we had to get HDMI to SDI converters, and that was a whole nother process, but that's a whole nother video. But if you're someone who's trying to make podcasts, 1080p is good enough, you want an HDMI switcher, this is the way to go. There's 4 HDMI ports, 2 audio ports, Ethernet ports. You can control this from your Mac, power cable, and a USB out. So you can actually plug in a hard drive and save the footage as you're switching between the cameras. And that, there's a whole bunch of other controls here from cutting. You can add in customization, stylization. You have picture-in-picture options. You can see on the keyboard right here, the buttons feel really nice to press. This unit is very well built. It's high quality. I just wish it supported 4K HDMI. You have different effects, video out. This is nice if you're trying to do quick edits and you want something, but it just didn't work for us. So now I need to sell this. So if you know anyone wants to buy it, let me know. But we will have a link down in the description if you want to click that link. It helps support the channel. Now, who is this for? It's for live stream events. A lot of people live stream in 1080p because 4K is just too much bandwidth hogging. So that's one value add. You want to live stream in 4K or 1080p, this is the way to go. If you're doing social content and you don't need 4K, another great option is to use this device. You have a multi-camera live operation. You need to create highlight reels, best of compilations of multi-camera live events, weddings, things like that. You're doing a live stream. People use this actually, and it's portable. You can take it somewhere, set up your cameras, connect it to this, run the live stream, switch cameras directly from here. And then if you want to avoid manually downloading footage from multiple cameras, syncing them, the audio, this just does it. That's the value of this, is all the cameras are plugged in. You get one file, 1080p sadly, and the audio synced, the video is synced as you cut, it live cuts essentially, so you don't have to go in there and change the cameras. And then the downside is if you mess up during that, you kind of lose the ability to update the cuts. That's why it does also save a DaVinci Resolve file and the raw files if you want to open up the project and do all that stuff again. So that option's available, but it's just another extra step. So the ones that we actually use are like professional level studio quality ones, and I think our setup's around $6,000, whereas this is under $1,000. So it's great for churches, content creators, people like that. It supports 1080p 60, 1080p 50, 1080i 60, 1080i 50, 720p 60, and 720p 50. 4 HDMI Type A, 10-bit 422 ports with 2-channel embedded audio per input. So like some of the Sony cameras have 4-channel audio, it won't come through. You have one HDMI output, USB 3.1 connection for external recording to a hard drive or webcam output. You can use this to convert multi-camera HDMI as a webcam on your computer as well. You have 2 audio inputs with 24-bit 48 kilohertz, and then it can save .drp project files for DaVinci Resolve, which is really cool. You have streaming, built-in control panel with a record button, upstream layer. You have one upstream keyer, one downstream keyer, one advanced chroma keyer, 2 linear luma keyers, one digital video processor with borders and drop shadow for picture-in-picture, one media player. So it's got a lot of features and functions. You have cut, transitions, mix, dissolve, dip to color, DVE, squeeze, DVE push. There's an audio mixer with EQ, dynamics, compressor, limiter, expander, noise gate. So you can edit the footage and audio kind of like live through this thing by updating those settings. That's something you might do like in a video editor, but if you're kind of like, I want to live edit, live stream, this is a quick way to do that. It's powered by a 12-volt power supply. It uses about 18 watts of power consumption, and it comes with ATEM software control for Mac and Windows. Now, some problems with this guy. Holding the record button should allow you to drive swap without stopping the recording, but it's unreliable, some people have said. So they've lost footage. The Blackmagic multi-dock required for reliable hot swapping costs another $300. And then some of the issues with a single drive is that you have limited drive capacity. So like once you fill up that drive, you have to stop the recording. So if you're doing long recordings with this, it could be tough. Overheating during extended ISO recording. So if you're recording 5 video streams, it's gonna get very warm. It could overheat. Not great for 3+ hour events with ISO recording active. That's where you're recording all the raw footage as well. The cache buffer will fill and you can drop frames and as the temperature rises. So you just gotta make sure this thing stays cool. And if you don't properly organize, it could be a nightmare because it defaults to camera 1, camera 2, and it's just like you have to go in there and make sure you're properly organizing and renaming all these files. Line level audios can have ground loop hum, so it requires external isolation transformers. There's some audio and loop hum input issues, and then streaming cache issues during high quality ISO recordings. So you could reduce the stream quality or ISO recording quality to prevent buffer overflow. There are some firmware updates to help with this. There are also some other brands that do 4K. I wish this would do this, but the thing is these things get hot when they're doing that. This thing costs $545. It is the Mini Pro ISO. There's also a Mini, there's a Mini Pro, Mini Extreme, and Mini Extreme ISO. And ISO just means you can record those raw inputs, HDMI as well. The YOLO Box Pro is 3 inputs. It's an all-in-one with the touchscreen, but no ISO recording. The Roland V1 HD is 4 inputs, and the Aja Hello Plus has ISO recording, but a separate monitor and control. That's $2,000. The Pearl 2 is $4,000. It's just more expensive, but like I said, we used a HyperDeck and another device for recording and multicam switching. So this plus an SSD drive, plus HDMI cables, powering, the costs add up slowly as you kind of start to collect, but it's still really powerful. I think this is a great device if you need some quick multicam switching. Maybe you're a podcaster, it can be valuable, but there are limitations. But it does make outputting quick content very helpful. So there's a link down in the description. Click that link, help support the channel. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to know the actual setup we use to film some main channel videos, comment below and we can make that video too.